Okay, so that's me done for the day for work. So heading back now. It's just before 4 o'clock. Got 3 hours, I guess, maybe 3.5 hours around the M25, around London and north until I get home. Car says 131 miles out of 47% battery, which is probably a little bit pessimistic. I think I'll get a little bit more than that, but it's around the right amount. So if I put in home as my destination, it should tell me I won't get there, and do I want to search for stations? I can say yes, and we'll see what it picks up. So it's got a variety of options, and one of them is the apple green at the fleet services. So I'm going to pick that and set that added as a tour point and click calculate. If you want to see what I'm doing, check one of my previous videos. I've done plenty of videos on this, so it shouldn't be something that comes as a surprise. So it's now added in the apple green on my route. It's telling me it's going to take 3 hours 24 minutes, including 18 minutes stopping to charge, up to 69%. It's going to get down to 27% when I arrive there, up to 69%, and that will get me home with 30%. Now I don't need to get home with 30%, I can get home with less than that, so I probably won't stay that long. And also I think it's been a bit pessimistic on the percentages on the map as well. So I don't think I'll need quite that much energy. So I won't. I will stop for maybe 10 minutes. And that'll give me a time of 3 hours 15, 3 hours 10, something like that. Which is fine for a journey back home from Southampton, I think. So all is good. Let's get going. So we're on our way, back on the M3. Going to go up the M3 to the services at Fleet, or near to the services at Fleet. I'm not actually going to stop at the services at Fleet for my charging. The apple green charge points there I have programmed into the sat-nav as my charging destination, so that it will do the battery preconditioning and warm the battery up for charging for maximum speed. But I'm going to go just next junction up where there are some Ionity charge points. Now I haven't put the Ionities into the sat-nav to do the preconditioning as my charge stop, because they are brand new Ionity charge points and they don't exist yet in the Kia sat-nav. They will do, no doubt, once it's got updated, but at this point they do not exist, so I cannot put them in as a destination for charging. So I've put in the apple green charge points, which are at the services one junction earlier. That way the battery will get itself preconditioned and up to temperature ahead of my charge stop. So that is the plan. So you can see now battery conditioning mode has turned itself on. You can see the little red coil icon on the battery on the dashboard display there. You can also see on the electricity use side panel we currently have 4.5 kilowatts of energy going to battery conditioning or battery maintenance. That's showing us that the battery is being warmed up. At the moment, as things stand on car scanner, we are still at 15 degrees for the lowest value in the battery. That will go up as the heater warms the coolant. You can see here on car scanner on CarPlay, or shown through CarPlay, coolant 2 is now at 29 degrees, the battery heater at 28 degrees. So those are what are warming up the battery. And you can see that the battery minimum is 15 and the battery maximum is 20. So what we're looking for is an increase in the battery minimum, because that's what limits the charging speed. If we get the battery minimum up to 25 or more, then we're looking good. Okay, so we can see here on the car scanner information, battery minimum is now over 20, battery maximum is up to 27. It's a bit of a shame that there's a 27, well, there's a 7 degree, not 27, there's a 7 degree difference. If they were narrower, that would be better, because the charging will slow down if the highest value is too high as well. So it'll also be slow if the lowest value is too low, but it'll be slow if the highest value is too high. You kind of want it in a narrowish band. And you can see that the heater and the coolant number 2 are up at 36 and 37 degrees. That's the sort of temperature they'll get to in order to heat up the battery cells. So the heater heats up, and the heater heats the coolant, and the coolant flows around the battery and heats the battery cells. I know it's called a coolant, it's not in this case cooling, but it will also cool if the need is to cool rather than to heat. So it's dual use, both functions. So we are now, I haven't got the information, we're about 10 miles away from the services. So the battery has just about got to temperature. It will keep heating until that 20 degrees minimum reaches 25 degrees, I believe, because that's the optimum temperature for it to start charging at. Personally, I'd be happy for it to stop now. 20 degrees is plenty enough, and with the coolant being hotter than the battery, it will continue to warm a little bit even if the battery heater turns off for a while. Okay, so now the battery heating has turned off. So you can see over here the little red coil has disappeared. We're no longer heating the battery. Battery minimum is 21, battery maximum is 28, has just dropped to 27. For some reason, the value for the battery heater skipped up to 54 all of a sudden, and now it's dropping down to 50. So either the heater wasn't reading back correctly previously, or it isn't reading back correctly now. The coolant is cooling slightly, so 35 became 34 a moment ago. So it looks to me that the battery heater has turned off, and I would say it wasn't reading correctly previously while it was turned on, because it seemed to be slightly cooler than the coolant, which doesn't really make much sense. So now it looks to me like the battery heater is reading correctly, and it's dropping down from the 50 degrees towards where the coolant is at 34, and the battery will now settle. I'm about 5 miles from the planned charge point, so with the 21 minimum and the 26 maximum, it's narrowing down that difference between the minimum and maximum. The coolant is still quite a lot higher than both the minimum and maximum on the battery, so hopefully it will settle at a good value in the low 20s and hopefully quite narrow. Just passing the sign for the services, and it says I am 4 miles away. Of course, my planned stop is actually just next junction on, so I'm probably 5 or 6 miles away in reality, but that shouldn't be a problem. You should still get a rapid charge. Remember, the battery heats up during rapid charging as well, so if you are a little bit off optimum on that battery minimum, then you will still get a good rapid charge. It's just not as rapid as it could have been. So we'll see in a few minutes how it gets going, what kilowatts we get. Remember, the car is capable of 230 kilowatts. The charge points I'm going to are capable of 350, so the charge points won't limit me, or at least they shouldn't. And I should hopefully get a pretty rapid charge to gain the kind of 10-20% that I need to get home. Okay, I'm now just past the services, so had I been stopping at those apple green charge points, then you can see my battery minimum's 22, battery maximum's 25. That's narrowed that gap quite nicely. So it's just while the heater was really pushing out the heat that gap was quite large. It was a 7-degree gap, now down to 3 degrees. So I would still charge rapidly with the 22 minimum, but I wouldn't overheat the battery particularly quickly with the 25. Coolant is still at 26, so we've still got a bit of heat in there. Battery heater's still up at 41, it's still quite hot. So I should be good for my charge stop, which is in a couple of miles from here. Okay, this is the junction I need, 4A towards Farnborough and Fleet. And then we'll go left at this roundabout. Over the motorway. Obviously, if you're coming the other direction from London down to Southampton, then you'll be joining at this roundabout here. That's where your slip road joins, and then we go left at this roundabout. It should be at the next roundabout. There is a Miller and Carter steakhouse, and there is a Starbucks coffee chain, and there is a travel lodge. It's a strange combination. I can understand Starbucks and travel lodge. I'm not sure travel lodge customers typically are Miller and Carter steakhouse customers, but hey, there you go. And there's the Ionity charge points. Now, if you're stopping at Ionity, they're quick charge points. You're not going to have time for a nice juicy steak, much is the pity. As much as I'd love to have a steak and stop for a couple of hours or an hour or so, but I'm going to be stopping for about 10 minutes. Looks like there's one junction here I need to go past, and then it's the next left. So through those lights there, and it's left at this roundabout here, opposite the country park. If you fancy a walk, if it's a nice day like today, then you could charge your car and go for a bit of a walk if you have time. And there are the Ionity charge points. And there is a kebab van opposite side of the roundabout. That's quite useful. Stop there for a burger, or you could stop at go to the Shell garage and get something from there, of course. And let's see where we shall charge. Which one will work well for my charge port position? So I'm going to say if I back into this one, this should work quite nicely. Maybe. No, it looks like I want to go forwards into I go forwards into this last one, that might work well. So I prefer the Ionity charge points that have all of the bays with the charge points at the back rather than these ones that are alongside. Just seems to suit the EV6 a bit better. So normally I back into charge points because the chargers are at the back, but this one I've pulled forwards into because they are alongside, and I think that will suit better. So in terms of the temperatures, we have 22 and 25 as our minimum and maximum, coolant down to 23. That looks good. We should get a decent charge, I think. Let's go and find out. So here you can see we're straight up above that 190 kilowatts, so 195, that sort of speed, kilowatts. So it's telling me in 16 minutes we'll be up to 80%. As discussed, I don't need that much. I'm probably only going to go up to 50%. So we'll be there in 8 minutes or something. And that'll be enough. One of the advantages of having a very fast charging car. Okay, charging all done. I got 24 kilowatt hours up to 57% on the car in 7 minutes 30 seconds. Sorry, 7 minutes 31 seconds. Don't want anybody telling me I'm only telling half the truth. 23.85 kilowatt hours. As I said, 57%. Cost me £10.26, and that's going to be enough for me for now. So I'm going to get going. Battery, let's have a look. Connect back into the dongle to see what the battery temperature rose to. It's a pity you can't get battery temperature on the display. I would like Kia to add the battery temperature. I've noticed the latest Audi A6 Q6 e-tron has that on the display, which would be great. So battery minimum is at 32, battery maximum is at 38. Up until stopping it seemed to be charging at a pretty rapid rate. I saw it reach 238 according to Ionity. I didn't realise it could go that far. I thought it was 234 maximum, but who knows, maybe that's just a calculation error at Ionity's end for this car, or for that particular charging session. So we are good to go, and I will get on my way. Okay, so back on the M3 now, away from that Ionity charge, that 7 minute 31 seconds Ionity charge, and I have reprogrammed my destination to sat-nav so that it's taking me home. And it's telling me I'll get home with 15% remaining, which is spot on. I mean, that's a good buffer to have. I expect that will rise as I do the journey. I'm currently in a 50-mile-an-hour zone of roadworks on the M3 as I head towards the M25. I can't imagine I'll be able to go full speed around the M25 or up the A1. So with some reduced speed areas, and also the fact that the sat-nav is a bit pessimistic, I would expect to have 20% by the time I get home. Certainly it's 108 miles to home according to the sat-nav, and according to the car I have 162 miles, so I've got over 50 miles in spare, which is good, because when I get home I do need to do one quick journey this evening of around 10 miles or so to pick up my daughter. She's at an after-school class, so I will need to do that. So all is good, and my arrival back home is estimated at 2 minutes past 7. Okay, so just leaving the M3 onto the M25, round past Heathrow and up towards the M1 and A1. Don't know which one the sat-nav is going to take me on. I think it's suggesting the M1 at the moment, but we'll see as we get closer. That may change depending on traffic. So slip road around onto the M25, and according to SatNav it's clearish. So when we turn this bend there shouldn't be a huge queue, and it does appear to be right. So we do have nicely flowing moving traffic here, which is perfect. Really like that. So all is good. Through the roadworks there we lost a few minutes. We've now got an ETA of 7:06 instead of 7:02. The estimated battery on arrival is now up to 17%. So like I said earlier, it said 15. I reckoned it would get around 20 or 20 something. We're up to 17 already. So yeah, I think I'm probably right. I don't like to say it, or maybe I do. But yeah, I still think I'm right. It'll be over 20% by the time we get back. So all is good. And normal service resumes for the M25. So here we are back in traffic on the M25 again. This is typical. It's just what you get. Unfortunately, you just have to put up with it. It will be slow now, stop start, until we pass Heathrow. So this will be the M4, M40, that sort of area. Once I pass the M4, it should speed up again. May slow down again at the M40, then speed up again. Let this guy in with his Toyota Yaris Verso. That's a strange car. Unusual. Don't think I'd have one of those. But yeah, if you have a need for that sort of car, I guess you have that sort of car. He's making his way across the lanes. I'm guessing he's suddenly realised he will need to exit shortly. But yeah, as I say, you just have to factor this in when you estimate your time. It's going to take a bit longer because this is London, it's the M25, and this is the queuing. It's what you have, it's what you get, it's what you put up with. Fortunately, I don't come down this way that often, so I don't need to worry about it too much. Still on the M25, still approaching the M4 junction with Heathrow. I'm seeing a few planes come down to land. It seems like I've been here forever. Hopefully we'll see another one come in a moment. They fly right overhead. The airport runway is just the other side of the motorway, so you get a good view of them, which is the one interesting thing about being stuck here in the traffic. We had a British Airways flight, and then just a Virgin Atlantic one has just gone overhead. There should be another one any minute. They come pretty constant into Heathrow. I was going to say at this time of day, but I think it's any time of day really. Overnight, obviously not the same, but during the day they're pretty much constant. Now I've said that, there's going to be a big delay, isn't there? I won't see one. It's always the way. Come on planes, where are you? There we go. What's that one? I don't know what that one is. Little swoopy red line with a green star at the end on that tail. Don't know. Here's another one. That looks like an Aer Lingus. This is one you don't see very often. Just on the left here, this red car approaching. That appears to be a Vauxhall Ampere. So that was a very early electric car. Just on my left as you see it right now. Yeah, that was the equivalent of the Volt that they had in the US. Over here we had it was called the Ampere. Didn't sell many. As you can see from that number plate, it was a 2014. So that's 10 years ago. It was one of the earliest electric vehicles available in the UK. Still out there driving. Good to see. Okay, so we are back underway. We've got past all the queuing and we're on course for arriving back home at 7:19. I'd say we've got past all the queuing. It will queue again, I'm sure. There are queues expected at the M1 junction and at points up the M1 and so on. So I'm not expecting to not have to queue again, but I'm past all of that around Heathrow and M4, which is great. I can get a move on. Been going about an hour since the charge stop, and the efficiency is over 5 miles per kilowatt hour since the charge stop. So we're at 5.1. I mean, admittedly, we've only done 24 miles in that hour. That's how QE it's been. But there you go. Great efficiency at lower speeds, and I guess also because the battery's quite warm from the charging. So it's, as far as the battery's concerned, in terms of efficiency, it's outputting like it's a nice hot sunny day, which is not too bad actually. It's 18 degrees outside according to the car's external thermometer. 85 miles left to go. 143 is what the car says I have left in the battery. We have 53% battery, and the prediction now is that we arrive home with 18% remaining. So all is good. My 7-minute charge stop was plenty. Could have probably done a bit less. In fact, I probably would have done a bit less, but I pressed the wrong stop button. Pressed stop on the screen of the Ionity charge point. That didn't seem to respond. Maybe I didn't hold my finger there long enough. Ended up using the app to stop the charge, and that took maybe 30 seconds. So I could have probably stopped at 6.5 minutes or something, maybe 7 minutes on the dot, and had plenty to get home. But hey, what's 30 seconds? What can you do in 30 seconds? Get home 30 seconds earlier. Can't even boil the kettle. Okay, so M25 just about done and dusted, in the left lane, ready to turn off onto the M1. So London circumnavigated around the west side, and now we're going to turn onto the M1 and head up the country, past Luton, up towards Milton Keynes, picking up the A41, across to the A1 at the Black Cat roundabout, and then north towards Peterborough. So still got another 69 miles to do. It has taken me an hour 22 since my charge stop to do 40 miles, which is, and it's an average of 4.8 miles per kilowatt hour. So that's pretty slow, but that's just traffic. That's what happens. Estimated time of arrival back home now 7:22. There is traffic on the M1 according to the sat nav, so I haven't escaped the traffic. I'm still going to have more traffic, and arriving home with 19%. So yep, here you go. You can see the traffic, all the red lights up ahead, all the brake lights, everybody piling into the M1 traffic coming north out of London. Looks like I could be here for a bit longer as well. So I will check back in later on with another update, but for now I think it'll be back into the traffic again. Okay, I don't know if it comes out on this video particularly, but this Mercedes is coming up on his wheels. I don't know what you do to get wheels like that, but he's got blue lights on his wheels. You see that? Don't know if you can see that on the camera, but yeah, he's got blue lights going around. Oh yes. He got electric blue. Really dark windows too. Oh, it's a woman. She got blue lights. Cool. She got blue lights. I apologise, she's not a he. I said first of all he got blue lights, but no, it's a lady. I've passed it, I looked across, she's definitely a woman. Well, I don't know actually, maybe she's not, but she looks to me like a woman. I have to make that assumption because I don't know otherwise. I haven't asked her. Maybe I shouldn't be making assumptions about her gender, but black Mercedes, pretty dark blacked out rear windows, blue lights spinning around on the wheels. Okay, so further up the M1, closing in on Toddington services, I'm going to stop here. Obviously don't need to charge. I've got 119 miles left in the battery, 52 miles to go. I'm on 44%, and as I predicted, we're now over, well, we're 20% prediction of getting back home with 20% battery. So I am right, the car was wrong. It will be 20% or greater in my opinion. Still think that. Car may be right, maybe I'll get back and it'll be down to 18 again, but I don't think so. I think it'll be 20, maybe 21, 22% when I get home, which is great. But I'm going to stop here at the Toddington services because I need a wee, need to go to the toilet, and I fancy a Greg's coffee and a donut, so I think I will stop here. So pulling off. So my current prediction home at 7:23 will not be the case because I'm stopping. Wonder how many chargers there are available here. If I did need to charge, could I have charged? Interesting question. So it seems quite busy. Can't really tell. Tricky to see. Maybe if I park facing with charge points, I'll be able to tell. So I pull in alongside this blue Tesla here. I think there is only one free. So it looks like, yep, that Ioniq 5 is just plugging in. BMW is plugged in, Mercedes is plugged in, another BMW. And over there is a Volkswagen. So there is one free. So pretty busy. Fortunately, I don't need to charge. So it's pretty busy, but it's not a problem. So I'll go and get my donut and my coffee. Right, been into Greg's. Unfortunately, they're out of donuts, so I've got a sausage roll. But I've got my coffee and sausage roll, and I'll be on my way. As you can see on the charging position, things have changed. So we now have only 2 cars charging out of 6, although a BMW i3 appears to have arrived. So we have the Ioniq's there, the Mercedes is there, the i3 is just going into position, and yep, so 3 spaces available. Not that I need to charge, because of course I didn't need to charge. So let's get on the way. No point sitting around here. And now we're on the A1, on the A1M, or just about to join the A1M. ETA 734 PM, ETA for the battery 23%, currently at 31%, and I have 15 miles to go. So pretty much as predicted, as expected on the way back. Stopped for 7 minutes 31 seconds to charge. Obviously a little bit longer than that because you have to actually drive into the bay and do the plug-in and so on, but 10 minutes, let's call it, for a charge in total. It's about 3 hours have passed on the way home, 3.5 hours on the way, so we're looking at about seven hours of journeying in total by the time we get home. And out of those 7 hours, 10 minutes has been charging. So if people tell you that you can't do long trips on an electric vehicle, and you can't, and you'll be standing there charging or sitting there charging for hours on end and not getting a space and they're all broken, well, that's just not my experience. So all is good with today's journey. Okay, one final update. So we are 26% battery remaining, 2 miles away from home, got 24% as the estimation when I get there, 68 miles predicted in the battery, as I say, 2 miles to go. Since my charge stop 2 hours and 50 minutes ago, I've had an average efficiency of 4.3 miles per kilowatt hour, and that's 107 miles of driving. And all has been good. So thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope you've enjoyed the trip, and I will speak to you next time. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't yet subscribed, then please subscribe, like this video if you like it, and please add something in the comments if you feel compelled to do so. Thank you, and I'll speak to you next time.